This video describes propensity scores, what they are and why they're used in research. And I'll also describe one of the mistakes you should avoid when using propensity scores. So propensity scores are typically used in studies that involve people where some of the people are put into a treatment group. And the propensity score reflects the probability of a person being assigned to the treatment group. Because it's a probability, it has a value between 0 and 1. In studies that try to measure the impact of some sort of treatment, either a drug or intervention or something like that, the gold standard is to randomly assign participants into one of the two groups. In the situation where you randomly assign half of the sample into the treatment group and the half of the sample into the control group or the comparison group, you know what the propensity score is. That would be 0.5, and it's the same for every single person. It doesn't matter if this person is wealthier than this person, they still have the same likelihood of being assigned to the treatment group. It doesn't matter if this person had a higher educational attainment than this person. Again, they still had the same likelihood. Everybody had the same likelihood of being assigned to the treatment group. So the fact that they were assigned to the treatment group is independent of any other factors. And studies don't use random assignment to place participants into the treatment group, then there can be other reasons why participants ended up in the treatment group. And in that case, everyone does not have the same propensity score. And the probability of being in the treatment group, otherwise known as the propensity score, depends on other factors, like income perhaps, or educational attainment. So when researchers don't use random assignment, they know that everybody has different values for the propensity score, but they don't know what those values are, and so they have to estimate them using a statistical model. So they'll use those factors that they know are associated with treatment assignment, and they'll use that in a statistical model to estimate these propensity scores. In theory, once you know the propensity score for each person, you can come up with a more apples-to-apples comparison between the treatment group and the comparison group, despite the fact that they did not enter into these groups randomly. Once researchers have propensity scores estimated for each person, they can take the next steps to come up with a more apples-to-apples comparison. In this example, let's assume that those individuals in blue are in the treatment group and those individuals in white are in the comparison group. Now, there are a variety of ways of using the propensity score to come up with the apples-to-apples comparison, but many of them hinge on this idea, that if you take one or more people from the treatment group and they have the same propensity score, then you compare them with one or more people in the control group who also have the same propensity score, then among that subsample, it's like you used random assignment. And so if you estimate the effect of the treatment within that subsample, you're coming up with an unbiased estimate of the treatment effect. Now, in order for propensity scores to be effective, you have to be thoughtful in how you're estimating them. And in order to do so well, then you really need to take into account the actual factors that go into why people ended up in the treatment group. It's particularly important to make sure you're including factors that influence why people went into the treatment group, but then also have an influence on the outcome that you care about. For example, sometimes in education, people want to include factors like ethnicity and free or reduced price lunch status when they're estimating propensity scores, even when the actual mechanisms that determined whether students could be in the treatment group had nothing to do with those factors. And that's problematic because you can estimate propensity scores based on those factors, but not the ones that matter, and then you end up thinking that you're somehow benefiting from the use of propensity scores when you could actually be obtaining biased estimates of the effect of the treatment, the tutoring program or intervention that you're hoping to study. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more videos like it, please subscribe.